Welcome to the Change Your World book tour. We are in Salt Lake City, Utah. I think they've been practicing for the whole 2 weeks of the book tour to welcome you into Salt Lake City. These people are not here to ski. They're here to change your world, and change your world we're going to do today. I am so excited to have you in the room. As some of you that's streaming with us know, we've been doing this now for, I think, 12, 14 cities. They all run together. We've been doing it a lot. But today, all of that doesn't matter because today is your day. Today is your day in the room to hear the message, grab it, and begin to change your world. In fact, there's a really simple roadmap I'm going to give you. And some of you that are already ready to go ski, or some of you that's ready to go take on the workday, I'm going to give you the end at the beginning. Is that okay? So here's what I need you to do. Grab your pen, grab your notepad. I'm going to give you a website that needs to become your go-to. It needs to be in your favorites. It needs to be something you visit all the time because it is where the movement is happening. The movement I'm talking about is at changeyourworld.com. Changeyourworld.com. And at that website, there's three simple, John's proud of us, we made it so simple. 3 simple steps, and here's what they are. Get the book, take the assessment, and join the movement. Get the book. It's available online. You can go right now to changeyourworld.com. Here in Salt Lake, we're going to give you a chance to get the book and let John and Rob sign it. Sorry, online, you should have been here. And then we're going to let you take the assessment. Now, this is an assessment that we have created on 25 values that are transformation values in the book. And we want to let you see how you score on these values that John and Rob talk about in the book. And then we're going to give you a community to join and become better at these values, to begin to live these values, to begin to do these values. So get the book, take the assessment, join the movement, and that is the point of today. We call it a book tour, but really, it's a movement. It is a movement tour of changing the world, and we want to see our world changed, don't we? Yes, we do. That is exactly right. In just a little while, I'm going to bring John Maxwell in, and I'll tell you about him in a moment. But right after John's done, his co-author, Rob Hoskins, is here with us on the tour, and you're going to hear from Rob Hoskins, and he is going to challenge you. Now, if you don't know Rob, he runs an organization called One Hope. They have put values-based resources literally in the hands of 1.7 billion young people. Thank you for the wow. I appreciate it. That's what I said. I was so wowed that I sit backstage and practiced how to say billion because I've never said that word before. Billion children. But here's what I love most about Rob. Rob is not just satisfied with 1.7 billion. He wants to know the qualitative, quantitative results of transformation. And you're going to hear Rob this afternoon, or in a little while, you're going to hear from Rob, and you're going to know how he is so passionate about seeing outcomes in everything that he does. But before we hear Rob, before we talk more about the book, John has prepared a special message for you today. For those of you online, those here, he's going to give you a message that I believe will share and inspire you to share your leadership and your influence around the world. Now, if you don't know John Maxwell, he's written 86 different books. That's pretty significant. He has he's put those books in the hands of 34 million people have a copy of John Maxwell's book. You ask me how we know? He's counting. But really, it's all about the impact. And today he is here with a passion, a burning passion to impact you, not only in Salt Lake City, but all around the world. Will you help me welcome John Maxwell to the stage?
Wow. Thank you. You may be seated. Thanks for your kindness and your warmth to us. We're delighted to be here on the book tour. Paul, thank you for You're just such a wonderful friend, and thank you for opening up the church and just allowing us to be here today with you and online. We're delighted to be with you. This is the last day. I have a statement that basically says, you're never good the first time. So I love it when people come to me and they say, well, I'm really working hard. I've never done this before. I'm going to try to really do a great job. And I tell them, oh, relax. You won't be that good. None of us are good the first time. We weren't good when we tried to walk. We weren't good when we tried to talk. But we do the first time so that we can have a second time, so we can have a third time, so we can have a fourth time, so that we can progressively get better. So we don't despise the first time, but we realistically know what the first time is. We're not that good. But this is the 14th time on the book tour, okay? And we ought to be good. And as Rob and I listened to Mark and his pre-marks there a moment ago, I could tell you, Mark, you're getting loose and a little out of line. In fact, a lot out of line. In fact, if there was another day, Rob and I would drop you. I mean, he's talking about having to warm the car up for us for 2 hours. That's not true. Usually it's about an hour. It's not 2 hours. And but hey, we're here. And are you here to? Let me ask you, are you here to learn something? How many are here to learn something? Huh? Yeah. How many of you are here to get better? How many of you are here not to get better yourself, but you really brought a person that desperately needs to improve their life? Yeah. Oh. Now, look at this, just pointing at each other. Look at your neighbor and say, this is why I brought you right here. This is why I brought you. You got to understand, we're going to improve you. We're going to get better. That's for sure. We're going to get better. Such an honor to be with you. And as I look at you and I ask myself, how can I serve you? What can I say? What can I do to allow you to really make this a worthwhile morning in your life? I would like to share with you a teaching that I've never done until I started the book tour. So it's not in a book. You've never heard me on YouTube or wherever do this teaching at all. But it's just a new teaching, okay? And it's for you, okay? It's for you. And as I said, you're never good the first time, okay? But I think it's going to be very helpful to you, and let's try it. Let's do it. I'm going to talk to you about 5 questions leaders ask themselves during difficult times. I wrote a book several years ago called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. If you don't have that book, I would encourage you to get it. It's become a very best-selling leadership book. And it's all about the fact that leaders ask themselves questions so that they can lead their people better. In fact, I have a section on questions you ask your team, questions you ask yourself, questions that people have asked me that helped me be better. In fact, I talk about 10 questions that people asked me that greatly improved my life. So it's a book about just how to ask yourself good questions so that you can lead. Because to be honest with you, our answers are as good as our questions we ask. So if we ask good questions, we get good answers. And there's not a more important time to ask questions than during very difficult time. Because during difficult time, a lot of people are asking questions. What sets the leader apart from the follower is the leader asks different questions than the followers. The followers ask questions about themselves, and the leaders ask questions about the people. But before I can answer your question, I have to ask it of myself first. I ask it of myself, and then I'm able to transfer it over to you and serve you and help you and add value to you. So these 5 questions, they're all simple. I'll give them to you in sequence. And what's beautiful about these questions is every one of you can do this. I mean, this isn't like beyond you. Every one of you can ask the question, and every one of you really need to answer the question to lead well. Because what we want to do, one of the reasons we're here about Change Your World, is we're going to challenge you to change yourself and change the people around you. So this is kind of a prep for you to really be able to do really what you want to do. So let's go. Question number 1. The first question is, what am I feeling? This is where the leader starts. And isn't it interesting? If you would think of a leadership question, you wouldn't normally think a leader would start there. But this is where you start. And the reason why is it's through feelings and emotions that I connect with you. And the first thing I want to do is I want to connect with you. The ability to connect with you means now I can lead you. The way that I say it sometimes is, as leaders, we have to find our people before we can lead our people. And so this is all about finding people. And guess where you find them? You always find them with their feelings. Because feelings during a difficult time become real strong. And during a crisis, people, all of a sudden, they begin to be quite emotive. And so what you do as a leader is you ask yourself, am I feeling this? And the reason is I want to feel what you feel so I can identify with you. And even more importantly, so you can identify with me. This is key. And so therefore, I ask myself, what am I feeling? I want to be sure to tell you that I'm unhappy during this time. I don't like it. I'm asking myself questions. I'm feeling a little bit discouraged at times myself. These are all connecting ways that you begin to help people. I suppose this is what I need to say here. There's probably nothing more important when a person follows you than to look at you as a leader and say to that about you, that leader, that person understands. When I can say to you, I understand, all of a sudden, you're ready to follow. But sadly, so many times, we're ready to move people before they're ready to be moved because they're trying to process the things that they're feeling right now. So during a difficult time, one of the things leaders do is leaders call time out. And they realize that they don't start leading immediately during a difficult time because people are too emotional. And so let them feel, let them ask those questions. Be patient, just kind of hang with them and listen to them. And in fact, what leaders do really well is leaders listen, learn, and then they lead. And they just really understand the process that I listen to you, I learn from you, now I can lead you. All of my leadership cues come from me listening and learning from you. Because the best leadership I'll ever do is the leadership when I identify where you are. The moment you know that I know you, the moment that you know that I care, all of a sudden, I began to lead. And how do you identify a leader? You identify a leader because people are around her. They're around him. Leaders always have people with them. Leadership is influence, nothing more than nothing less. And so when you hear the expression, for example, it's lonely at the top, that's not a leadership expression. Trust me. If you're lonely at the top, you probably have a personality disorder. Huh? To be honest with you, it's probably because nobody likes you, okay? Okay. But I love it when leaders will say, oh my gosh, it's lonely at the top. And they'll look down at all their people like down in the valley and they'll say, oh my gosh, look at them down. Oh my. Look at them, gosh. It's lonely at the top. Let me tell you, if you're at the top all alone, you're not a leader, you're a hiker. Yeah. You need a canteen and a compass. You know what I'm saying? You're a hiker. Because what do leaders do? Leaders bring people with them. I'm not about to go to the top without bringing you along. Because that's what leaders do. Leaders make things better for each other. In fact, Norman Schwarzkopf, the general during Desert Storm, said, one of the things about taking people to the top is you take them to the top, you get closer to the top yourself. It's not about me. It's not even about you. It's about us. It's about we. Leaders never cross the finish line first in a race. They're not that fast. If you want to win a race, then don't take anybody with you. You gotta run as fast as you can. You don't want anybody messing you up or slowing you down. And so leaders, they don't win speed races because leaders, they never are going to, they're not going to cross the finish line without people. And that's what I'm talking about, because leadership is very visual. And during difficult times of uncertainty, people want to see you. In fact, your presence is more important than your presentation. And so many times leaders miss this. They go in and think, I've got to give my people wise words, and you don't need to give them wise words. You need to give them love and care and assurance that you're going to walk with them, that you're going to walk slowly through the crowd, that you're not going to be way out in front of them, but that you're going to walk beside them. There's a quote that I'm given credit for. It's a very old quote, but it's, at 73, most of my quotes are old. But this has been quoted and shared millions of times. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you. That's exactly right. The moment that they know I care, then they're now interested in what I know, but they're not interested in what I know first. So when I ask myself, how am I feeling? I'm going to the present, most important, pressing need of the people, to identify with them and get common ground by saying, I know what you're going through. I'm going through it too. I'm not happy. I've got questions. It's difficult. Now, once we ask that question, because it's such an important one, what do I feel? We go to the second question that we ask, what do I see? Now, this truly is a leadership question, because when we think of leaders, we think of vision. The one thing that leaders have in common, regardless of country or culture, the one thing that leaders have in common is that they see more than others see. And they see before others see. They see more, a bigger picture. They see before, a quicker picture. Now, I don't think leaders are smarter than other people, not at all. It's just that because they have leadership intuition and they have leadership giftedness, they just pick up on it quicker. Let me explain it this way. If you're sitting at a table with a dozen people and everyone else has caught on except you, you're not the leader of the pack. Okay? So the question I'm going to ask myself here is, what do I see? Now, the reason it's important for me to see a bigger picture is because most people during a crisis or a difficult time see a smaller picture. In difficult times, usually, the picture shrinks. And the reason that the picture shrinks is because when people are going through adversity, they become very much concerned about themselves, and they begin to think of themselves and what's going to happen to me and what's going to happen to my family, and am I going to have my job? And there's a whole list of things that they're asking, but the picture gets very small during a crisis. So what do we do as leaders? We're asking ourselves, what do I see? Because what we're to do is to enlarge the picture, because trust me, the picture that becomes smaller is not the real picture. Never has been, never will be. And so what we do is we ask ourselves, okay, how can I help people see beyond themselves. In fact, when COVID hit, I mean, in the beginning, people were asking me, how long will this last? Well, I don't know how long this will last. I still don't know how long this will last. And any leader that tells you they know, run from them. They don't know. There's a lot of questions we have. But what I know I need to do is I need to see further than other people see, because I'm going to be leading them. And I'll tell you what else I need to be seen. I need to be seen today clearer. In fact, the tendency for during a crisis is for people to want to know the future, and sometimes their desire to know the future paralyzes them from doing something today. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that everybody sees today clearly, because the only day and the only time that we have is right now. So I'm asking myself continually, what do I see? And I walk alongside of people. For example, we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. That's why two people can look at a difficult situation and come from that with two totally different answers. Or one can have an answer and the other person doesn't have an answer at all. So when we see things, we're not seeing clearly, we're just seeing from our perspective. So what I want to do is help people enlarge their perspective. The best way I can explain that is immaturity. When a person is immature, an immature person sees things only from their perspective. I mean, think of the toddlers. You know, it's my toys, you know. It's mine. It's mine. Well, that's okay. They're a toddler. They're immature. We're saying they'll grow up, and as they grow up, they'll become mature. What do we mean by they'll become mature? What we mean by that is that they'll see things from other people's perspective. That's what maturity is. Maturity is me having the ability not only to see things from my side of the table, but me having the ability to see things from your side of the table. So when I ask myself as a leader, what do I see? What I want people to understand is I want them to see other perspectives, the big picture. I remember when COVID hit. In fact, Simon Sinek were on the phone one day, and we probably had a 30-minute conversation over how people were talking about this is the worst time we've ever had and gone through it. And we shouldn't have been, but we were a little bit laughing and light about the fact it doesn't even touch the Spanish flu 100 years ago. Oh my gosh. And by the way, it'll never, ever touch the Spanish flu or the bubonic plague or 100 other things that have happened in this world. See, the reason we think it's the worst of times is because we live now. And the tendency for us is to always think that the world is centered around us. I just want to say, with one trifling exception, the world is composed of others. That was good. Every once in a while, it gets good every once in a while. Not often. And I've got Aaron here taking notes for me so that I won't miss that one. I got to, because, I got to have somebody help me there. Now, what do I feel? What do I see? Question number 3. What do I think? The greatest gap between successful and unsuccessful people is how they think. The greatest gap. When people don't do well, you can almost go to how they think and find the problem. I mean, there are people who think scarcity, there are people that think abundance, and by the way, they're both right. They're both right. If you think scarcity and there's not very much in this world, and you better grab what you got and hold on to it and be selfish with it because you may never have anything again. If you have a scarcity mindset, guess what? you'll live in a scarcity world. If you have an abundance mindset, you'll live in an abundance world. This is just an absolute fact. What we see is what we receive. And so when I'm going to lead people during a difficult time, I ask myself, what do I think? What do I think? My father was very young at the end of the Depression in America, and he lived in a little town in Georgetown, Ohio. About 800 people. And he said, John, there were only 3 people in the town that basically had anything financially. He said we were all poor, except these 3 families. And he had the privilege when he was growing up as a kid, from really about the 6th grade on, every day after school, he'd go and he would do chores for these 3 families. And so he knew them very well. And he said, John, as I would grow up, I keep saying, why do these 3 families have this and we don't? And he said, by the time I was a junior, I had come to the conclusion that the biggest difference between those 3 families and the rest of us is they thought differently than us. And he said, at that age, at a very young age, I decided I wanted to always allow my thoughts to give me the greatest opportunity for success. And so he sought out mentors. One of his mentors was Norman Vincent Peale. In fact, when I was in the 7th grade, he took me to Veterans Memorial Auditorium in Columbus, Ohio, not only to hear Norman Vincent Peale, but to spend some time afterwards with him. As we think, so we become. So he told me that when he was growing up in that depression, he said everybody was out of work except him. He had 3 part-time jobs. Everybody else was in the food line. Now, how did he get 3 part-time jobs, living in the same place at the same time? Very difficult. Well, it was very simple. When the Depression was on strong and nobody could hire anybody, my father he'd go to the hardware store and he'd say, I know that you can't afford to pay me today, but I like to work. So could I just work for free for you today? I'd like to, do you have some things maybe you've got some stuff you haven't been able to get to? Could I just work for you for free? And every time the owner would look and say, now, you have to understand, young man, I can't pay. Oh, no, I don't even want to be paid. I would just like to help you. Could I help you today? Well, yes. And my father would work all day long. At the end of the day, come up and shake the owner's hand, said, thank you for letting me work for you today. And by this time, my father had already shown what a hard worker was. And the hardware store would say, I'm so sorry I can't pay. Oh, no, it's okay. I didn't expect to be paid, don't want to be paid. Just wanted to help you. Did I help you? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we got some stuff done there. And then my dad would say, if at any time you can ever afford part-time anybody to help you, would you just think of me? And he'd give him his name and his number. The next day, he'd go to another store, do the same thing. Another store, same thing. Every day. By the end of the first month, he had 3 part-time jobs. Everybody else is in the food line. You see, it has nothing to do with the conditions you have. You see, COVID, for some, is going to be an amazing, great year. 2020, some people are going to look back and say, in fact, the question I want to ask every person in 2025 is, talk to me about 2020. Talk to me about it. What did you do? Did you get better? Did you improve? Did you pivot? And I promise you, people will look at 2020 as a very defining year. Some of them will look at it as the best year they ever had, and some people will look at it as the worst year they ever had. We all stayed in the same year. It's not the year. It's not COVID. It's right here. It's how we think. There's only one book that I have written that doesn't have leadership in it that sold over 1 million copies. Now, I have 10 books that have sold over 1 million copies. I've got books that sold 2 million, books sold 3 million on up. But only one book I've ever written that didn't have leadership in it that sold over 1 million copies. In fact, it's going so fast, it's passing many of the leadership books. And it's a book, a very simple book on how successful people think. It came from my father. It came from a discussion on our 50th anniversary, or his 50th anniversary, when Mom and all of us were in Hawaii. And I said, Dad, you think so differently than others. Talk to me about it. And he told me the Georgetown story. I just determined as a young man that thinking was the deciding edge. So what do I think? By the way, you really don't need to know what other people think. If you just love social media and you're looking for somebody to thumbs up you and tell you that they agree with you, you probably need to get a life. My name's John. I'm your friend. I can't imagine anybody caring about what somebody out there who doesn't even know them thinks. Dear God, get a life. My name's John. I'm your friend. One of the reasons we're so excited about teaching values is the better values you have on the inside, the less validation you need from the outside. An empty bag doesn't sit up straight. And when you have no values, no good stuff on the inside, trust me, you're going to be turning around all the time, wondering whatever somebody else is thinking. What do I feel? What do I see? What do I think? I'm ready to give you number 4, but you're not ready to hear it yet. Oh, no, it's okay. You're still taking notes. It's okay. I'll wait on you. We're good. Because I don't want you to miss that last thought, because it was a good one, wasn't it? Yeah. And as I'm watching you, one of the things that I've just loved about you is you're getting it. I mean, everyone, from here, it looks like 100% of you are taking notes. It looks like 100% of you are leaning in. And that's so fulfilling to a teacher. So thank you. You're a fabulous audience. Now I know why we saved Salt Lake City to last. So, yeah. It's very, very obvious. We had to end well. You know what I'm saying? And we're ending well. Now let me just also say, as I'm watching you take notes, you're getting it. And I just love you getting it. But I'm a little concerned. Just a little, not a lot, just a little concerned, because as I'm watching you, it seems to me that the person on your left is not quite as smart as you are. Look at you right now. Look what you're doing. Look what you're, as soon as I say, every one of you, look at the left, and every one of you going, how did he know? How did he know that the person on, how did he know that? I mean, you should have seen, as soon as I said that, it was just like, kind of like, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you didn't even have to point to them. I knew. So just look at them and say, it's okay, I'll help you. Go ahead and tell them, I'll help you, I'll help you. I'll share notes with you. It's okay, here you are. And every once in a while, just as you're taking notes, just slide it over. You okay? Just slide it over. He's to your left. Just slide it over. You're ready for number 4 now, aren't you? Now, I've given 3, and that person on your left's trying to keep up. So when you write down number 4, just slide it over for a moment. Okay, just keep them with you. Okay, remember, we don't finish first, but we take people with us. Okay, take the person with you on the left. That's what Rob and I've been doing with Mark on the whole trip. It's just been hit the ball, drag Mark, hit the ball, drag Mark, hit the ball, drag Mark, hit the ball, drag Mark. Oh, Mark's such a beautiful brother and helps me so much. But when he's up here and he's talking about us and belittling us about heating the car up 2 hours, when you and I both know it's only an hour. We both know that. And he's just totally exaggerated the crowd. I'm sitting over with Tricia. And I'm saying, Mark doesn't understand something about communication. The last person that has the mic always wins. And Mark's just up there just going on. I'm saying, just set yourself up. I'll kill you. Just set yourself up. Say, it's hunting season, boy. Oh, here comes Mark again. Hit me again. Hit me again. Hit me again. Hit me again. Yeah. And we're not done, are we, Rob? Oh, no, I can hardly wait for you to come up and join me. If one can put him to flight, two can really, I mean, this will be really, really good. Now, you do know, the people that you love the most, you have the most fun with. Nobody do I love. I mean, Mark's like a son to me. You're looking at one of the most fortunate people in this world. I'm 73. And all my life, I've built organizations, built a reputation, added value to people. Consistency has compounded. And at this stage of my life, for me to have a person with Mark's heart, capacity, giftedness, to take everything that I've done and not hold on to it. Take everything I've done and make it bigger and make it better. I'm living in my best days, but I'm living in my best days because I have my best people around me. Let Mark Cole know how much we appreciate him. Best people. Best people. Yeah, that's a fact. It's an absolute fact, and I'm very grateful. I'm very humbled to have him and my team that is with me, and I'm very grateful. I'm just very grateful. So, and I would hope for you when you're 73 that you would have a Mark Cole that can carry on what you started, and know that that legacy is just going to get. In fact, I'm going to get a little bit older, but I can't die because I got to hang just to see what happens. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to get so good. See, I've loved it while I've grown it, but as he grows it even more, it's going to get better. Number 4. You thought I forgot, didn't you? Number 4. I not only have number 4, I have number 5. I have number 6 and 7, but because of time, I can't tell you about those. So let me just do number 4. Let me do number 5. The fourth thing is I ask myself, what do I know? I go inside myself and say, in a time of uncertainty, what am I certain about? In a time when there is a lot more questions than there are answers, what are the answers that I can give? And here is what I know. What I know is there is always an answer. That's what I know. There's always an answer for COVID. I don't know what you're going through right now personally, but there's always an answer. There's always an answer for every adverse thing within your life. There's always an answer. There is always an answer. Now, it's knowing that there's always an answer that keeps me in the game. In fact, knowing that there's always an answer not only keeps me in the game, but keeps me in a game in a contagious way. Because I know there's an answer, I can hardly wait to find it. And I can hardly wait to find it with you. I can hardly wait for us to find it together. But here's what I know. There's always an answer. In fact, let me tell you this. There's not only always an answer, there's usually more than one answer. So when I get one answer, I'm never content with one answer because I think, okay, that's good, but I'll bet there's a better answer than what I have. And what I know is that when I go this always an answer path, I find an answer. Just like if I take the path that there's never an answer, I stop. Because you always stop when you lose anticipation. Anticipation is what gets me up today. Anticipation is what's fed me on the book tour. Anticipation is why I'm so excited to be here. People all the time say, John, when are you going to quit? I'm not going to quit. When are you going to retire? I'm not going to retire. Why? My life is full of anticipation. I don't know anybody that quits with anticipation on the horizon. I know people that quit with satisfaction. I know people that quit with desperation, frustration, but I don't know anybody that quits with anticipation. Can I tell you something? If you truly believe that today was going to be the best day you ever lived, you would be excited about every moment of this day. And if you truly believed, as I do, I don't even think there's a finish line. One of the books I'm going to write is going to be entitled, Is There a Finish Line? And for some people, there is. A lot of people, there's a finish line. I mean, they arbitrarily say, I'm going to quit at this age, or I'm going to retire here, and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to make this much money, and then I'm going to be done. And let me just say something. If you have a finish line, if you put a finish line for your life, can I tell you something? When you cross that finish line, you're finished. What part of that do you not understand? It's over. I know a whole bunch of people, it's over way too early. They have still so much that they can do and so much that they can be, but they don't, because they put a finish line there. My father passed away on July 4th of last year. He was 98. And when he was 95, he and I were having lunch, and he's looking at me with great anticipation. He's 95. He's 95, and he's looking at me. He's leaning in. He wants to make sure I get it. And with great enthusiasm, he's saying, John, listen to me. He said, I think my greatest days are still ahead of me. He's 95. I know people 25 can't say that. The ability to know that you're making a difference. You see, every one of you online, every one of you in this auditorium, here's what I know. You want to make a difference. The challenge is that for many, we don't know how to make a difference. Wanting to make a difference is filled with anticipation. But when you know how to make a difference, your life gets filled with fulfillment. It's Tyler Perry in my conversation when he was talking about building his 4th studio and how he got tired, and he kept saying, I don't want to do it again, but he kept doing it. And it was our conclusion when he looked at me and I looked at him and I said, Tyler, when you can afford to quit, you can't afford to quit. In fact, let me just say this. If you're going to quit immediately. It's like if you get a job and you've had it for a week, quit. Because nothing's going to happen in a week. You see, consistency compounds, and all the compounding is on the back end. It's not on the front end. But you got to have the front end to have the back end. So don't despise the front end. Enjoy every front end day, knowing you're sticking in the bank. You're compounding. Someday it's going to show up. But let me tell you something. It's going to show up someday. It ain't going to show up the first day. It ain't going to show up the first year. It ain't going to show up in a decade. Trust me, I'm 73. It's getting bigger and better all the time. You see, in the beginning, you're not as bad as people think you are. But in the end, if you do it right, you're not as good as people think you are. I'm living that life right now. Everybody thinks I'm better than I am, and it's cracking me up. And it's just cracking me up. I'm saying, oh my gosh, they don't have a clue. Compounding. 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 What do I know? I know that adversity and difficulty, if treated with the right thoughts and the right actions, become your greatest friends. Always. What do I feel? What do I see? What do I think? What do I know? Question number 5. What do I do? What do I do? Rob and I and Mark are most happy about the book tour because we're going to give you something you can do. Every one of you. In fact, look at your neighbor and say, even you can do this. You tell them that right now. Even you can do this. Even you can do this. And now, wait, excuse me. A little mentoring here in communication. Let's do it again. And this time when you look at them, emphasize you. Even you can do this, okay? Come on, go at it. Tell them that right now. Oh, that's so good. Oh, no. Let's take it to another level. Just not only emphasize you, but this time lean in and point to them. Even you can make it. Go ahead and tell them that. Even you. Oh, this is so, look how you're becoming better communicators. Do you see how I'm helping you? Even you. And you can. And that's what excites us. And I'm going to bring Mark and Rob up here because I want them to help you know how you can make a difference online and here in Salt Lake City. So would you give Rob Hoskins, Mark Cole, a wonderful Salt Lake City welcome. Come on, here they are. All right. Yes. I like it.
Man, I'm loving Salt Lake City.
I know, that's right.
This crowd is so good. They're so loving. They're so wonderful. I don't care what Mark Cole says about you. I just think you're fantastic. I mean.
Well, he's the same person that took us to Bismarck in January.
Yeah. I remember we were talking about where we needed to go.
Yes.
And you said the Bahamas, and he heard Bismarck.
Yeah, I said Grand Cayman, and he took us to Grand Rapids.
Yeah, that's just how slow he is.
Yeah, we said St. Lucia, and he took us to St. Louis.
He's on a roll.
Yeah,
but Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. You know, 1 out of 14.
Right about that.
1 out of 14, you finally got it right,
Not
guy.
bad.
You just finally got it.
He's batting about 80 this year, which is better than last year.
As you can see, I don't go warm up the car for 2 hours to warm it up. I go to get away from them. That's just really, if I'm in full disclosure here.
Yeah, you go out that car to get away from us, don't you?
Solitude.
That's why he locks it, never
That's
opens.
why.
That's why he's been locking us on the outside.
For an hour and a half, we were knocking
the door, and he won't let us in. Now we got it.
It's amazing to me, Monday morning, and the number of countries and people that's watching John. Chi just said, this is going to be the best week of my life because of what you just shared for us. She said she was going through things. She's from Philippines. She said, I was going through some things, and you helped me. And so thank you from Chi in Philippines, John.
Beautiful.
Beta is in Poland. Aaron is in Ghana. Muriel is in India. Carl is from Charlotte. Charlotte, we want to change the United States too. Anybody else want to change the United States?
Yep, we want to do U.S.
Myanmar, Russia, Italy, Belize. Some really great places, John, but all of them are asking the exact same question, what do I do? Some of them tuned in a little late, and I said it at the beginning, I'll say it now, I'll say it at the end. It's really simple. Go to changeyourworld.com, get the book, take the assessment, join the movement. And that's what we're doing. That's why we wrote this book. John, you've written 86 books. I've heard you say multiple times now, not just on this tour, but really the whole process of writing this, the whole process of dreaming this. It took you 6 years to get your thoughts about transformation on paper. And yet this book that's so dear to you, you decided to co-write. 86 books, less than 5 you have co-written. Why'd you co-write with Rob?
It's because I needed help. And that is exactly why I co-wrote it, because transformation, change the world is a big subject. And I realized I didn't have the bandwidth, the capacity to do the job I wanted. You deserve better than what I know. So I asked myself, who do I know that understands change your world transformation better than me? Who's done it better? Who's done it bigger? Who's done it faster? Who's smarter? And immediately I knew it would be Rob, because Rob, what he has done, I need to learn, and you need to learn. And I thought, boy, if the two of us could go together and write this book, we could really help a lot of people. And so, Mark, I asked Rob, because he was the best person I know to help me with the most important subject I know, transformation. And it was a great decision to have you on board, Rob. You when you read the book, you'll very quickly, with Rob's stories, with his chapter on measurement, you'll very, very quickly see how much he added to that book. And then you'll come to me and say, John, we would suggest in all your books in the future, have Rob help you. That's what you'll suggest.
So Rob, I was there when you and John had this initial conversation. You had just finished your dissertation work for your doctorate, and you did it on transformation. 1.7 billion kids is not enough. Seeing outcomes is not enough. You wanted to popularize this book. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose John to help you write your book?
Do you hear what his question was?
Yeah, I heard it. He's the one that's out in the car 2 hours early, warming it up for
you guys. I think I heard the question right. He said, "Why write a book with John Maxwell?" I mean, why play golf with Jack Nicklaus? I mean, why play basketball with Michael Jordan? Why, I mean, when the best ask you to do something with you, how many of you know the right answer is yes? I'll do it, right? I mean, and I remember that moment. It was special. John's been mentoring me for years, and over the last several years, our favorite topic has been this topic of transformation. And transformation's a very common word now. People use transformation all the time. They use it in different ways. It's kind of a buzzword. Everybody wants to transform something. But very, very few people can define what it is. And fewer still that I've met have been able to show me how transformation happens. And then there's just a handful in our world today that I believe that have the capacity and the passion and the will to actually make it available to everyone. And I think all of you here and online know that I'm sitting next to one of those men right here. I believe that John Maxwell has the capacity, the audience, the ability to scale a movement of transformation like no one else in the world today. And that's why, immediately, when John said I wanted to do, John is one of the great communicators I said John's one of the great communicators of this century. Yeah. And then I thought about it and said, well, of the last century. So I said, John is the greatest communicator of the last 2 centuries.
That's disgusting what you just said there. I'm 73, not 173. And look at him. He thinks it's funny. He's just over there. Look at Mark. Mark's over there. He warms the car up. He makes corny jokes. But I am here for you. I am here. I am here for you. My name is John. I'm your friend. Count on me. Oh, no, that's lean on me. Lean on me.
But really, it's just been thrilling for us to go on this journey, because I know that, the beauty of John's teaching, of his communication, is that he can take the most complex ideas and thoughts and truth and just make it so accessible, can he? Just make it so simple, so easy for everyone to understand. And so I just got so excited as we were talking about this subject, and I was asking John as my mentor. I said, John, with what I've put into this dissertation, and you've seen my thinking around this, and I said, probably 5 people in the world will read my doctoral dissertation. I said, but what I want to know from you is these thoughts and what I've learned and what we've been sharing and talking about. Do you think we can you think I can turn it into a popular book. You think this is something that can add value, which is what I've tried to live my entire life with, is to add real value to people. And John has spent his whole life doing that. And I said, can we take this and really add value to people? And Mark, you were there. John turned to me and on that boat on that beautiful day, and he said, Rob, yes, I think we can make transformation and giving people the ability to change their world easy and simple and available to everyone. He says, you need to write that book. And then he paused, and then he turned to me and he says, can I write that book with you? And man, I didn't know if I'd heard him right at first. I was just like, what? And I said, wait, let me think about it. Yes. I mean, that's how long it took me. John says it took me 2.2 seconds, but it didn't take me that long. It was.
No. He's slow. He's slow.
And so.
Slow, speed.
And since that, and even at that, this is the last one, guys. 14 days we've been together here. So you guys get John Maxwell unplugged today. That's what you get today. And then focus, John. Focus, John. And so this is why even during that conversation, though, as we were talking about it, we said, look, this really. It has to start with a book.
Yeah.
And it can't be a theoretical book. It has to be a book that is about what we've learned, what we've experienced, and even programs that we have worked on with our two organizations. We want to make this something that isn't just talking about what transformation could be. We want to say, this is how we've seen transformation actually work. And the book is filled not with theory, but with actual experiences and the stories of amazing people from around the world that have seen transformation and change take place in their own life, and all different kinds of people. I mean, we've got stories of amazing, incredible leaders that John and I have had the opportunity to meet and to work with and experience and do things with. And some of these people are some of the greatest leaders in the world, of government leaders and business leaders and educators that we've worked with. But even their stories are how transformation happened in their life. And one story in there, a friend of mine who is an incredible business leader, has built and sold over 70 different businesses, successful businesses. One of the most successful men I know, but he came to a place in his life where his son was facing just a horrible tragedy, was being bullied, tried to take his own life. And for my friend Roy, with all the success he's had in his life, how many of you know the only thing that mattered to him was his son? And I can change a lot of things in business. I can change a lot of, but if I can't help my boy, nothing else really matters. And so it's about him and how he applied these principles of transformation and him and his son and they found answers. Change came to that young man's life. And what they learned, they said, now we have to give it away and add value to others. And so they began to talk about the subject, and that has now become a movement across America for young people that are being bullied. And so we've got Roy's story in there, but we've got a story of a young lady named Tiffany. I met her in Peru. She was 13 years old, and I met her in a school, and this young girl was so filled with life, and I was even there asking John, how could this person living in this place, one of the poorest places in the world, how can she have such life and joy? And I was just gravitated to Tiffany, and I started talking to her, and this young lady invited me to her house, and we walked, John, that day deep into the barrio, deep into the slum, and the further we walked, the more dismal, the more hopeless everything seemed. Yeah. And we actually showed up at her house that day, and her father was there. He was completely drunk. She was so embarrassed. I found out later she was being abused, and I thought, can hope come to this young lady? And I just began to take, John, the things that I've learned, things I've learned from you, and this whole area of change and how anyone, anywhere. And you know what? I'm seeing Tiffany today, and this young woman is now transforming the educational system of her country. That's what Change Your World is all about.
That's right.
It is about the ability for anyone, anywhere, to make a difference in their world. And that's why I'm so excited, because it's not just a book, it's a process, and we built a whole platform, we built these assessments, and really the whole point of it is we want to see a transformational movement. We want to see people get access to this, and it's not going to people say, and John, we've gotten this question so much this week, like, how can we expect our government to change the way America is? How can we expect corporate America to change? Look, I'm tired of waiting for other people to change the world. Let's just go out there and start changing the world ourselves.
Right.
And if we do that and turn it into a movement, I think that's the greatest hope for this world.
Yep. Absolutely.
So Kay Perez put a post in here that says, does the people need to be a part of the John Maxwell group in order to join the movement? Or can you create a table and form a group of people not related to the John Maxwell group? And the answer is absolutely.
Oh, please.
Absolutely,
Yes,
please do that. Now, we want you a part of the team. If you want to be a part of the team, go to johnmaxwellteam.com, as so many people here in the room have and so many people online. But we want you to be a part. Go to changeyourworld.com. I think as I watched you two work on this book, two of my favorite things that you as the commander intent gave us, the commander's intent was keep it simple, yet make it substantive. And then you said, make it big, because we want to change the world, but make it applicable to anyone, anywhere. And so, John, kind of tell us why that was your commander's intent. I want it simple, I do want it meaningful, but I want it to where people can really access this message and activate on this message.
Well, it's because I want everybody to be involved. It's just like I asked Rob to help me with the book because I needed help. We made it simple and practical because we need help. And we need help from every one of you. If you're watching online, every one of you, we want not only for you to read the book, but we want you to be part of a transformation table. We want every one of you, we want you to take the values assessment test. True here in Salt Lake City. We want to leave no one with an excuse of not finding significance. 2021 has potential of being your greatest year if you will make it a year of significance. Mm-hmm. Success is about me. Success is about my career and my family and my home and my cars and my stuff. Success is about me. Significance is about others. Change your world is all about others. We have transformation ourselves, but then we turn around and we transform others. So significance is where fulfillment is, not success. I know unhappy, successful people, but I know no unhappy, significant people. The moment that you pour your life into others, you begin to be fulfilled. So I'm extremely excited about this, but I'm extremely excited about it, and we made it simple for everybody because we want everybody to be a part of it. We need you. In fact, before Rob does anything on answering that question, look at your neighbor and say, the boys need you. Go ahead and tell them that. The boys need you. Hey, and the boys need me. The boys need me. The boys need us. The boys need us. All right. The boys need us.
So, Rob, even before you do answer that question, I'm thinking of this story. You hadn't told this in several sites, but you're impacting all these people, 170 plus nations. Mm-hmm. You're out there. You have quantitative results of transformation happening around the world. And then one day, transformation came to you and to One Hope. Tell us how this mass movement mover all of a sudden realized, I got to bring it home and make transformation here at home.
Well, transformation is not something you do once in your life. What this movement really is all about is creating, I believe, millions of agents of transformation, people that live transformation every day of their life. So I'm learning every day. And what I'm learning is that I need to keep my eyes open and look for opportunities for transformation. I already did that this morning. Every morning I'm getting up and I'm saying, how can I serve someone else to become an agent of transformation? And so I met someone here. I'm not sure where he is. I think his name's Sina, and he works in a juvenile detention center here in Salt Lake, right over here, my friend.
Right there.
And he was telling me that he works in this place that has the hardest core cases of juvenile offenders. And he said, what can I do for those young men? And I said, well, that's why we wrote the book. We want to equip you to be able to be an agent of transformation. I can't go there. I don't work there. I'm probably not even allowed in there. But you know what? He is. And he can add value. I said, how many of those young men do you serve? And he says, there's about 30 of them there. And so immediately, John, I turned to him and I said, I'll tell you how you're going to make a difference. I want to buy 30 of those books for those 30 young men. And you're going to become an agent of transformation right there where you're living. That's how a movement starts, right?
That's right.
By just taking action wherever you are and wherever you... And it's going to be beautiful to see what happens with those 30 men, those 30 young men. And that's... that I really... The experience you talk about is where I learned how to do that. And what makes me want to do it every day of my life. I was driving to work, and I was driving to our One Hope headquarters there in Pompano Beach, Florida, and I always, very routine, I would always drive the same way to work every day, and it was kind of my peace before the storm. Before I got into the office and everything got crazy, it's my time just to quiet myself down and just to sit there and just allow myself to meditate, to think, and to, as John was talking about, and sometimes when I'm in that moment in the car, I get answers. And I just felt this sense inside of me rise up as I was sitting there at a light, and it said, take a right turn. And I thought, okay, I'm going to ponder that for a moment. Take a right turn. Take a right turn. Take a right turn in my marriage, Take a right turn with my kids. Take a right turn with One Hope. And the voice inside of me said, no, stupid, just take a right turn at this light. Just take a right turn right here where you are at this particular moment. Have you ever had a voice talk to you like that?
Too many times.
Too many times. And all of us had. It was just like, take a right turn. And so I said, okay, I'll take a right turn. And I took a right turn. I found myself driving through a neighborhood where I'd never been before. Now, it was right across the street from our office. It was right across the street from where I go every day. But I had never driven through this. I found out later the name of the neighborhood was Avondale. And what I saw in that 5-minute drive changed my life. I saw things that I had never seen before. I mean, I'd seen them in other places. I'd seen them in the slums of India. I've seen it throughout some of the poorest places in refugee camps in Africa. I'd seen some of these things before. I'd seen it in Bogota, but within a 5-minute drive, I saw it in my neighborhood. I saw a drug deal go down. In fact, I saw a prostitute in the middle of the day just walk out across, proposition me in the middle of the day, and I looked over to the side and I saw young kids that should have been in school that weren't in school. I saw what looked like single moms. I saw gang members right here in this neighborhood, right across the street from my office, and I was overwhelmed. I pulled the car over to the side of the road, and I just stopped, and I was so emotional. I was actually weeping as I was sitting there, and this anger rose up inside of me. Anger not just at the condition of these people that lived in my community, but I felt anger at myself. Anger because I had never opened my eyes to see what was around me. And in that moment, John, I made a commitment. I made a commitment to myself. I made a commitment to my community. I said, this cannot remain the same way. I have to take action. I have to do something. I have to do something about it right now. So I drove into the office and I made an announcement I'd never done this before, to our whole office. I said, guys, everybody stop what you're doing. I want you to come and meet me in the meeting room. And I just began to pour out my heart about what I'd seen in the neighborhood across. I said, guys, we're helping millions of kids across the world. And none of us, me or you, have never seen what was across the street, and it cannot remain the same. We have to begin to do something now. That was 10 years ago. And for 10 years, I've been pouring my life into that neighborhood of Avondale. I took some very premium office space in our beautiful global headquarters, and I said, you know what? That's for the Avondale kids. We're gonna build the greatest charter school we can for these kids, and we're gonna educate and pour our lives into them. And I am seeing my community transformed, and we're making people got so excited as I began to share the stories, and we began to see small victories taking place along the way. Suddenly people said, I want to be a part of that. You know what I found in the transformation process? What gets celebrated gets replicated. And if you just see some small wins and people say, man, I want to be on that winning team. I want to see lives change. They get involved. And man, we have seen that neighborhood being transformed. And yes, I have 300 programs in 177 countries in 600 different languages around the world. But you know what excites me, John, is Avondale across the street.
Of course.
And all of us need to make a difference right where we live right now.
Where we live.
Would you do it? Would you join the movement? Change your world.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to go to the online community, ask a couple of questions that's coming in.
Sure.
I think we may have time for one here in Salt Lake if somebody wants to line up at the mic. One from Mexico says, the world today is in survival mode. How do we get them from survival mode to values mode? Love that question.
Wow.
Well,
That's good.
I love the question, and the answer is get them to values. Survival mode, again, is all about me. What can I do to get through this? And that's a legitimate question, by the way. I wouldn't want to ever make light of that question. But when we begin to do values and begin to learn, when people learn good values and they live good values, they become more valuable to themselves and they become more valuable to others. And that's our message. You don't need to survive, you can thrive. And you can thrive when it's all about others and you have a game plan. Small groups, transformation tables, teaching the values around those tables.
What I hear in that question is the difference from survival, to me, the opposite of survival is hope. And in the book, we have these 25, what we've identified as the 25 transformational values. If you want to see transformation in the world, live these values. And just one of those values, just talk for a moment, this is all in the book, is the value of hope. Now, hope is more than an emotion. Optimism is an emotion. I'm an optimistic person. That's a feeling. But hope is actually an action. And if you study the science of hope, we actually found that there are 3 characteristics to hope. And this moves people way beyond survival. But hope, as the first component of hope, is goals. If you have no goals, you have no hope. You have to be able to set goals. And so we talk about this around the round tables, how to set goals in order to have hope. The second characteristic of hope is willpower. You've got to be able to have enough to go out and do something and be inspired to do something. And that's why I love John. That's why I love having him in my life. This guy is Mr. Inspiration. If you're around him for, 2 minutes and you're not inspired, you're probably dead. Something probably just, you're done. I mean, he just inspires me because he's always, and that gives me willpower. That gives me the desire to say, yes, I can do that. And you have to have willpower if you're gonna have hope in life. And the third component is way power. Now, way power, you can be as inspired as you want to be, but if you can't find a pathway to the outcome, to the change that you want to see in your life, then it's not going to be true hope. And so teaching these values, and your question is, how do I move beyond survival? Get in a round table, learn these values, allow hope to begin to rise in your life, and that's when you're going to see change begin to actually happen. In fact, we have a tool, an instrument we call the Hope Index. And we found that with that Hope Index is actually, for graduating seniors, is a better indicator of college success than the SAT scores. Yeah. You see, because our generation, they have a lot of information. This is the information age. They have more access to information than ever before. But what we find is that mental health and depression are going up more than ever before. Why? Because they have a bunch of information, but they don't have emotional intelligence. And this generation, our world, needs emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is these values roundtables. And if you want to see your emotional intelligence begin to grow, you're going to see success in every area of your life going to grow. But you're also going to be able to see your world around you begin to change. So get into these, take the assessment. Where am I on these values? Which ones are strong? Which ones are weak? Which ones can I do better in? That's what this platform, Change Your World, that we've built is going to help everyone anywhere be able to do. So I just encourage you. These values are the most powerful thing we have. And as John said, this moves us from survival mode to thrive mode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. Yes.
Give us your name.
I'm Natalie. I want to know how us as kids can change the world as well.
I'm Natalie, and I want to see how us as kids can change the world as well.
I'm so excited you asked that question, Natalie. We have curriculum for kids in school. In fact, we have an I-Lead program, and we have 3 years of curriculum, and it's all about values. The first year is about choosing values. The second year is about acting and doing those values. And the third year is how to lead others to accept those values. We've put that in the hands of over 1.5 million students in school, and it's changing their lives. The head of schools, Secretary of Education in Guatemala, said that after 3 weeks of those tables, of those values with the kids with the tables, after 3 weeks they could see improvement in the students' lives. It takes 3 weeks for them to start. So if you have a homeschool, or if you're a school teacher, you've got a private school, charter school, whatever it is, you again go online, and it's all free for you. We have curriculum for students. So Natalie, people like you, thank you, because I'm so glad we got that message out. We wouldn't have got that message out if you wouldn't ask the question.
Yeah.
So thank you very, very much.
How many of you think Natalie's generation is the hope of the world?
We know it is. We know it is.
Guys,
Absolutely.
I love this generation. Your generation is the most cause-oriented generation in the history of humanity.
It's just beautiful.
Your generation wants to make a difference in this world, and that's why John and I have been, and we're seeing it. The rest of you sitting in this room, you applaud it because you feel that, and I'd love for you to tell that story about what we found in Knoxville, because that's exactly what happened.
It is.
And then one of the first days we were doing this, that tells us that this is more than a book. It is a movement, and I just love that because I think so many of us realize, how can we pour into the next generation? And there was a man in Knoxville that got that same vision.
The school superintendent, and this kind of goes with Alan, your question from California, saying, I have to do something. Everybody's leaving, but I want to see California changed. What do I need to do? Reminds me of what the question that prompted the school superintendent from Knox County was this question from a guy named Greg that said, how can I create a transformation leadership culture in my company? And so we've kind of been teeing off of that because it's inspired questions, Natalie, like yours, that says we want to do something, put us to work. We want to see something changed. And we were answering that question in Knox County, Knoxville, Tennessee, the first day, second day maybe, of the tour, and the school superintendent of Knox County was in the audience. And he said, I want every educator in Knox County to get this book, to get this message, to take the assessment, and to start a values roundtable. What do I need to do? I need to get the book. And it was a great question. He said, I only have one problem. It's 4,000 educators, and I got to go find the budget. And he's kind of sharing this in a room much like this. And right over here was another leader that said, you don't have a problem anymore. I happen to have the budget. I'll buy the books today if you'll start next week training your teachers on Change Your World. In that moment. So this week, 4,000 educators are learning the Change Your World product because the school superintendent said, if I want to change Knoxville, I believe it's going to start with the next generation, Natalie. This is the school superintendent saying, if we're going to change the world, we've got to change with the next generation. Well, he said, I've got to change the teachers before I can change the students. Another leader caught the vision and bought the books. We were telling that story in Chesterfield, Missouri, and a guy stood up and said, I've got 60 leaders in El Salvador that I'm going down to teach. And he was asking John a totally unrelated question. He said, John, I'm going to teach them your book, Today Matters. Will you give me some pointers on how to train these 60 leaders? John said, yeah, the first pointer is don't use Today Matters, use Change Your World. That's what you need to do. Yep. And it was like a light bulb moment for the guy. And Aber was his name, and Aber said, I agree, I'm gonna do that. I will get 60 books and I'll take them down there. A guy named Nathan that runs a financial company in Chesterfield says, you don't have to buy the books. I'm gonna go out back. I'm gonna buy 60 books, and you will get to take these books in the next couple of weeks when you go down to El Salvador. Well, then Nathan started telling his story. He has adopted 7 kids from El Salvador and El Salvador's caught his heart. He said, I want to change El Salvador through you. The story gets better. Y'all didn't clap on that. I guess 60 books is not as impressive as 4,000, but I was pretty impressed with 60 books.
You started with 4,000.
This is a tough crowd. So anyway, but here's the rest of the story. Standing behind Nathan and a bear was Teresa. Teresa is a junior high school student in Chesterfield, Missouri, has 65 students, and their project this semester is to increase their worldview. And so she said, would Change Your World platform allow my 65 students to get into a roundtable environment with the 300 students that answer to the 60 people that we're going to resource with the book? And can we bring together students in El Salvador and students in Chesterfield, Missouri, and talk about how we can flatten the world and change the world with values? I said, guess what? Today's your lucky day, because Change Your World brings people from all over the world to change the world together. And we just need people that will say, I'm going to catch a vision for me, get the book. Many of you in the room's got the book. Many of you online's got the book. That's not the problem. The question is the message bigger than you? The question is not if you're going to get the book. You're going to get the book. You're in the room. You're the smart people. You're watching. You're the smart people. The question is, are you going to get in a community and join together to do something significant? Some of you right now, as I was talking about the school superintendent, I was talking about a bear, as Rob today helped with the corrections institution here. Some of you are already thinking about people that needs to be in a small table with you. They need to be in a transformation table with you. Some of you are thinking about people in your company right now that needs to be a part. Some of you online are going, I need to start a group of people in my community. Myanmar is blowing us up today, John, saying we are going to change Myanmar. I'll challenge you. You need to not only get a book, you need to not only take the assessment, you need to not only join the movement, you need to do it with a transformation table. 8 to 10 people that'll do it with you. We're going to make books available here for you. We're going to make bulk books available for you online, but that is the point of the message. So we're gonna wrap it up here. I don't have time to get any more questions, but anything else either one of you would like to say before we close out today?
Thank you for making the tour a great tour. Salt Lake City, you were the icing on the cake, and we've just been very excited about what we're going to do. And for those that are here, Rob and I will go to wherever we are signing books. We'll sign books for you, but we'll sign books for your table. Give us the names of the 6 or 8 people. If you want to buy a box, we'll sign. You just give us the names, we'll sign them. We're just here to serve you, but thank you. You've made this tour a terrific success. We could not have done it without you.
Help me thank John and Rob. Hey, and before you're done clapping, thank the world for coming into Salt Lake City and welcome them. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's change the world together.